Welcome to True Heel Heat, the place where we use insider terms because we think we know what the fuck we're talking about, even though we don't. My name's Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and I'm better than you, and you know it.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. We are back once again with another iteration of our Scream series, our retro reviews, and this time we are reviewing what many people call one of the best horror sequels in the history of the horror genre, Scream 2. This came out in 1997. And of course, to do that, to review the Scream 2, similar to what we did with Scream 1, I am back once again with your co-host over on True Picks as well as True Off Season. He is the Stat King. John, how you doing?
I'm doing well because, I got to echo what you're saying. One of the best sequels, horror sequels of all time. Because you know what they say, as Billy and Stu noted. Well, more Stu than Billy. You got to have a sequel.
You do. You do have to have a sequel. And Stu and Billy called it, and now we have to talk about it. Scream 2, and we appreciate y'all if you're joining us for the premiere of our review here. And if you are joining us on demand, we appreciate you as well. Show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. Drop the thumbs up on this video. Share with your friends, all your Scream family, friends, and fans on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the True Heel Heat Sports and Entertainment YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, you can sound off in the live chat if you're watching us on the premiere or in the comments down below and keep the Scream conversation going as we are building up to Scream 7, which comes out in America on February 27th. I just saw an ad. It comes out February 26th in the UK. I was very excited about that. Even though I'm gonna see it on the 27th. I'm gonna make plans because I'm a little busy on Thursday, so I'm gonna make plans for Friday to go see it. So.
Yeah, I think we're aiming right now probably for the Saturday. I think because we've got a busy schedule on the 26th, 27th. So between Colleen's work schedule and then other things that are popping up, so I think we're aiming for the 28th.
That makes sense.
We'll find out who Ghostface is and who is in that mysterious crate that was delivered to the WWE at the same time.
Oh, look at that! On the same day,
I'm just
Danhausen and Stu.
I don't watch regularly, so like when the picture was posted in our YouTube chat, I was like, wait, there was a crate delivered. Like, what's going on?
I was like, this company is devoid of any new ideas. It's a freaking Disney Channel Nickelodeon special. It's a mystery box.
Which is kind of funny because that is sort of the commentary of Scream, in that horror has to constantly reinvent itself and bring new ideas to the table. And Scream 2 kind of worked to do that.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job, especially you were going to talk about like the scenes. We're going to do this a little differently because you like they said, you got to do things a little different on the sequel here. So first up, we're gonna go through the rules. They're gonna go through the rules of a sequel from Scream 2. So Randy, of course, is the person who explains this in the movie. He outlines the 3 main rules for surviving a horror movie sequel. The body count is higher. Death scenes are more elaborate. Carnage candy, as he enthusiastically says. And the third one being, you should never assume the killer is dead. It's going to take something. You have to cryogenically freeze them and then destroy their bodies, is what he tells Dewey in that scene. So we're going to do this a little different. We're going to get the rules out there so you understand what we're going on. So we talked about the infamous first scene of Scream, which sets the bar for like first scenes in any horror film. But as far as horror sequels, I think the Scream 2 one, it does up the ante a bit. To do it in a movie theater, and the fact that for better or worse, some of this has happened in real life since this movie of stuff like this happening. This was a risk, and it was very ballsy to do, in my opinion, where we start off the movie with Jada Pinkett, once again, one of the biggest names on the cast, is in the first scene of the movie, and she was a part of the poster, like we saw on our thumbnail here. And Omar Epps was her boyfriend. And Jada Pinkett plays Maureen. Note on that. Remember that name. It's a name that we heard in the last movie. And then Phil Stevens. So they go to the premiere of Stab, which is the in-universe Scream film based on Gale Weathers' novel, The Woodsboro Murders. What did you think about the choice of starting off with the premiere of Stab, which would become a central plot point throughout the rest of the Scream films?
I think it was really cool because it does kind of set the idea of it in a weird way. It makes it feel real, because we have seen, whether it's Lifetime movies or just in general larger now big budget movies, we have seen many movies dramatize real life events, right? Like there's what's his name? Peter Berg made a career for a little bit in the late 2010s with Patriots Day, Deepwater Horizon. But like the idea of doing a multiple homicide, that is usually relegated more towards like the Lifetime kind of things, right? It's not usually getting big budget stuff. So the idea of doing that and making this Stab movie, which I don't know if they necessarily, because obviously I don't think they were intending, oh, we're going to make Scream 3, Scream 4, and so on, because there's a gap also between 3 and 4. But like the idea of they're not thinking, oh, we'll make Stab 2, we'll make Stab 3 and reference that. So just the idea of doing it in this moment, sometimes you're just making decisions for the movie that you're making at the time. I think it was really cool because like it does add that sense of realness to it, and then also for the course of this specific movie, it adds a layer of like worry and kind of concern. You can understand why Sidney might feel the way she feels, or you might I don't know why I'm forgetting his name right now because it's a weird name, but Liev Schreiber's character, why he
Cotton Weary.
That's it. Why Cotton might feel the way that he feels about everything that's happening in the movie, because they know that at least once somebody made a movie about something terrible that happened to them, and if it can happen once, it can happen again.
And again. We will see by Scream 4 that this happens a lot. But we get Heather Graham is playing Casey Becker in the film. I noted that because that was a cool little touch, and I think she was coming off one of her more risque roles, so they have to have a scene with her dropping her robe and hear the cat calls in the movie. Of course, we get 8 minutes in. I've noted this, 8 minutes in, and we get our first kill, which is Phil, who was basically scared his girlfriend wearing the Scream mask, and then he has to use the bathroom. He sees that there's two, everybody in the movie theater is wearing the Ghostface mask. They give it out to people visiting the Stab premiere here. And Phil dies because he's just too damn nosy. He hears a strange noise in the stall next to him saying, "Oh, mommy, no." And he puts his ear to the nasty, disgusting bathroom stall wall, and he gets stabbed in the ear, which is still one of the more ridiculous ways to die in a Scream movie. And I'm so happy that there was so many notes in my notes for this movie. Is like, really, I feel like Scary Movie takes more from Scream 2 than it does Scream 1.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it is funny because it's like, when granted, like that was one of the more, like to your point, like funny kills. But when Randy's doing the going over the rules, I'm thinking to myself, he's saying it's got to be more gruesome. And I'm like, my mind just goes back to Rose McGowan's death was pretty gruesome. Like, what are we going to do to top this? Like, all right, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Exactly. Like you set the bar pretty high with that one, so we'll see what happens. Casey Becker as well, the way she was murdered and hung up in the tree in front of the house was gruesome as well. So then we get Maureen. She gets murdered when Ghostface wears Phil's jacket and sits next to her. I noted a lot of Pepsi advertisement in this movie. There's the Pepsi cups when she goes to go to the concession stand. She goes to the seat and she has a Pepsi cup. Maureen doesn't realize the difference between Ghostface and Phil until she sees blood from his shoulder on his jacket, and basically looks at the blood on her hand, and she gets stabbed in the stomach before getting stabbed in the back multiple times. This stupid ass theater of crazy people who, I don't know if there was coke or crack in the movie theater. It was just, they were going insane in the movies. I would be so annoyed going to this premiere. This stupid ass movie theater doesn't even realize that she's been murdered until she stands in front of the screen and basically howls into the moon at the same time that Heather Graham's character gets killed on the screen. What did you think? What do you think about this opening in comparison to the first Scream's opening?
So as openings go, it's very good. I don't see, the thing was that the Casey Becker one, we sort of, that's a little bit different because it hits close to home in the sense of this is someone that our characters know, right? And now maybe like they do kind of know the two victims here, sort of, but it's not the same level, particularly because there's going to be that the out front of the school where they're talking about, didn't you date Casey Becker? Where that's not as relevant here. So it doesn't hit like as close to home, but that does create the idea or the sense of anybody can die. And because we are going to be introducing new characters, we have to put all of them in a level of danger so that we believe that anybody, like, why do we care about these people? Like, you have to start making audiences care about the character. So by doing that, it is kind of the sense of, it is sort of random. And then because we know now, having watched the movie, who Ghostface is, we can go back and say, okay, these killings actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely by the end, you're like, oh, okay, this point, it makes a lot of sense by the end of the movie. Then we see Sidney. She's in her dorm room. She's going to Windsor College, which I did my research, and apparently this is in Ohio. We see her. She's getting prank calls thanks to the release of Stab. And I noted also, I did some research, the original Scream calls for a surge, an increase of caller ID, according to Drew Barrymore and other reference points that have stated that. And ironically enough, Sidney has caller ID.
That was one of the things I was talking about when we did the review of Scream 1, where I'm like, modern technology has changed how a lot of these movies have to do what they're doing. And sure enough, look at that caller ID.
Look at that. We see that Randy followed Sidney to college, and he's a film major. We get the film class discussion, which I think is one of the most pretentious things that I've seen in a Scream film ever. It's very annoying, and especially because Randy gets the line from Aliens wrong during the cut, because Joshua Jackson apparently botched his line. He was supposed to say the wrong line, but he said the right line. So Jamie Kennedy just had to improv. We do get Joshua Jackson of Mighty Ducks fame in this. He's only 19 at this 19 at this time. We get Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is playing CC Cooper, and we also are introduced to Mickey as well in this scene, who is a very strong supporter of sequels, and it becomes a running gag for the first half of the movie, him trying to bring up different sequels that were better than the original to Randy's character. We also met when we saw Sidney in the dorm room before she finds out that there has been a murder for somebody at the school. We meet her roommate, Haley. While her boyfriend, we meet after she meets up with Randy to like tell him that it's starting all over again. We meet Derek, who is played by Jerry O'Connell. And then we get Randy when he's talking to Sidney about, people going to movies and getting murdered. He apparently improvs a British accent, which I have no idea why he did that. Wes Craven doesn't even know why he did that in that scene.
I mean, knowing Jamie Kennedy, he probably doesn't know why he did it, but
Makes sense, yeah. Then we see Gale Weathers. She's back on the prowl. There's been murders, and you can always count on Gale Weathers to be there. She's with a new cameraman, Joel, who's played by Dwayne Martin. We get Gale is rude as hell to Joel, and then also to local reporter Deborah Salt, who is played by I don't even remember her name. I just know that she's been in Married with Children and Big Bang Theory, and she's Sheldon's mom.
Yeah, she's Sheldon's mom.
Yeah. We get Gale, who brings Cotton Weary to meet up with Sidney, which leads to her getting backhand yet again in another straight movie, which becomes a running gag in the Scream movie. Then we get Dewey is here. He's here because he heard about the murders, so he's coming to check on Sidney. And this is the first time that we get the Dewey motif, which is the song that plays whenever Dewey's on the screen. What did you think about that addition to the Dewey character, the motif that they play? Your music.
I like that because like different pieces of music obviously become associated with characters, some of it intentional, some of it not. But like the idea of creating a motif, that is really important because it signifies to the creators the importance of the character. And so you do understand that like Dewey's level of importance is growing within what Scream this movie is, and then also as we will see down the road, his importance continues to grow. And it is one of those things that it's like the reason why is because it's harder, as much as we want to say these are the rules of a horror movie, or they're not going to kill certain characters because that's where the money is. And so the idea of if you're going to spend the time to create a motif for a character, that means they are rising to that level where you're saying it's harder and harder for me to kill this person because of the money or the importance of that person to the story and to the franchise itself.
Yeah. So he's here to protect Sidney. Sidney even talks to her friends at college, saying that he's kind of the surrogate big brother. And I love the chemistry that they have. They have a very much like a sibling chemistry with one another. But I think that I will say off top, the best part of this whole movie is the chemistry between Dewey and Gale. Because of course they have you have the Courtney Cox and David Arquette, who are basically had started their relationship following the first Scream movie, but it just jumps off the screen. Like the chemistry between Gale, Sidney, and Dewey is just amazing in this movie, and how it's developed from the last movie and progressed to this point. It's so good. And of course, Dewey is kind of salty with Gale because he's wounded by her betrayal with the Woodsboro murders. He even starts quoting the different lines about his Barney Fife appeal in the first one, and his naivety about being a cop and stuff. So he's very hurt by that. We should also mention that Dewey has a noticeable limp because he got nerve damage from being stabbed in the back in the first film. So what did you think about especially the first interaction between Dewey and Gale? Just the way they look at each other, you could tell they had a relationship at this point.
Yeah, it is cool because like a lot of times I do like when people who are in relationships together work together, because it just, especially if the characters are in a relationship together on screen, it just adds a certain layer to it. It's one of the reasons why as a big Knives Out fan, I want Rachel Weisz to be in a future Knives Out movie because she's married to Daniel Craig. Now, the reason why I want this also is because in the Knives Out movie, Benoit Blanc's gay. So I want a scene where like his actual real life wife is hitting on him, not knowing he's gay, and then Benoit Blanc's like, "Ma'am, I cannot be doing this for whatever reason." But like that, it's just because it just adds a certain element to the performance, because you kind of know what that person's going to do, some of their body movements, even if they are embodying or inhabiting someone else's skin, metaphorically speaking, there are certain things that are going to pop out just because of who they are. And then it's cool.
Yeah, it just works. And you can tell that there's real life chemistry there with the on-screen chemistry. So Haley drags Sidney along to a sorority party. We saw in a previous scene that the sorority wants to recruit Sidney. This is where we see Matthew Lillard in disguise at the party. Allegedly, because he did visit. He does admit that he has admitted in interviews that he was on the set because he was starting to date Neve Campbell at the time. So I see the guy with the blonde hair and the glasses. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely Matthew Lillard. Cece is the only one who's not at the party. She gets a phone call from Ghostface at this point. The chase scene with Cece and Ghostface is literally what inspires the famous chase scene from Scary Movie 1. With her throwing the bike and throwing the different things at him. I was like, that is Sidney in Scary Movie 1 doing all of that.
I mean, great source of inspiration. It was a fun chase scene, and I liked the fake outs that kept happening, like with her on the phone originally with Ghostface, and then the other sorority sister first comes back and she's like, "Oh, it's your idiot boyfriend" or whatever. That scene is really cool for all of those reasons, but like it also is fun just because it's like you're thinking to yourself, "It's Buffy." Right, like you're thinking, "Oh, it's Buffy." Like,
Buffy.
like in the back of your mind, you're like, "She should win." I don't understand what's going on here.
It's like, is this not Buffy or is it Buffy? What are we doing here?
What are we doing?
So Cece gets stabbed. She gets thrown through a window and then tossed off the deck of the house. Sidney, all the people at the sorority party is like right across the street from where this happens. So when they see the cops are over there to check on the body, they go over there. Everybody rushes out the sorority house. Sidney's kind of gonna call it a night. But then, why does she answer the call in the sorority house? I'm still confused. Like this movie happened like 30 years ago.
Not your house, not your house, not your phone. Don't answer.
What are you doing? Don't answer the phone. Oh my god, I was so annoyed.
Imagine if you're whichever Ghostface it is, like you're just waiting there. It's like, well, if it's Sidney, here's what we do. Here's my script. And then it's like, imagine it's like somebody else. You just throw the papers up in the air. What is the point of it?
It's like, I'm trying to get
this Sidney. Was a waste of time.
Could you put Sidney on the phone? So Sidney gets the call. We get another chase scene with Ghostface and Sidney. Sidney is able to make it to the back door. You have a different parts where the Ghostface is trying to stab her, and it goes through the door, and you see Derek reacting to the knife going through the door and stuff. Derek meets up with Sidney at the back door, and he stupidly, another stupid move in this one scene. There's two stupid moves. Why is Sidney answering the call, and why is Derek going back inside the house to go after Ghostface? Like, you're not you ain't tough, bro. You're what is he trying to get his PhD? He's gonna be a doctor. What are you doing?
Listen, a lot of poor choices for a lot of characters in this movie.
So he gets his arm slashed. We get Dewey, who comes, checks on the scene, and he comes back inside. The Ghostface is gone, but he sees Derek with his arm slashed, which makes him look like one of the killers. It really does at this point. And I was like, this is a cool misdirect. I will give them that. We go to the hospital where they're getting bandaged up, where the police is talking to like Haley and then Mickey. Mickey goes and talks to Sidney, and we get a part where this is what always happens in all these Scream movies, where there's one particular part where Ghostface reveals themselves without revealing themselves, and it's Mickey who tries to basically put more suspicion on Derek, being like, why would you even go back into the house? I was like, why did you even need to mention that? That's your friend.
The part of this that I think is funny as hell to me is, granted, now we know who Ghostface is again, but like, at no point does Timothy Olyphant as Mickey attempt to be anything other than creepy.
Yes.
Sneaky. Like, even to the point of the voice usage. I'm like, I don't know if he is or isn't, but I would investigate him. Like, what are we doing?
Like, he seems like the most obvious person here. He's not very close to Sidney.
It's like, imagine this is like a wall, and he's just like, have you guys considered it could be the boyfriend?
Could be the boyfriend.
Like, he just goes back behind the wall. Like, what are you?
Then you get Dewey, who's also suspicious of Derek while they're questioning him and stuff. We then go to the police station, where not the police, not Dewey, but Gale is the one that actually figures out that this is a copycat killer due to the names of the victims being Maureen Evans, played by Jada Pinkett, which is a surrogate for Maureen Prescott. Then it's Phil Stevens or Steve, who was the boyfriend of Casey Becker, and then CC Cooper. Gale asks, what is CC short for? And it's like Casey. She was like, oh, Casey Cooper, like Casey Becker. So she's the one that figures out it's a copycat killer. We should also mention that the chief, Chief Artley, is played by David Arquette's father, Louis Arquette.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Now I want to go back and see like that scene just to see like the resemblance. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do my research before these reviews, and that was a nice little tidbit. I was like, "Oh, that's fun." Sidney then tries to sit down for a quiet lunch at the cafeteria, and we get by far, I think, one of the worst scenes in the history of Scream.
They were like, "This worked in Top Gun."
It did not work here. Jarek, who is upset because Sidney wants to kind of have some space and is kind of untrustworthy of him, he starts singing I Think I Love You, and I just wrote in my notes, this fucking sucks. And Mickey orchestrating the claps and doing this corny ass dance just makes it so much worse. Apparently Jerry O'Connell, he hated doing this scene. Everybody on the set hated this song and hated this scene, but they still kept it in.
Imagine like the entire, like everybody hates doing this, and they're like, I mean, listen, guys, none of us like this, but it is in the script. And then somebody just goes, well, we could change the script, right? They're like, no,
now that
it's in the script. But one thing I thought was kind of funny is like, you got to imagine Mickey the entire time. He's just like, organizing the clap, he's like, I'm gonna get this motherfucker killed. I'm gonna blame this whole thing on him. He's just like, you sing, sir. Sing your heart out. Sing your heart out.
Yes. I'm just a friend. Yeah, let's go. Hiding in plain sight. But ironically enough, this is the last time we see Mickey for 45 minutes.
That's right.
Like, he is barely in this fucking movie. This is why you need two Ghostface, because this is like in comparison to Stu and Billy, who we saw throughout the entire movie, and they were kind of like similar characters to when they are revealed as Ghostface. They kind of turn up the sinisterness and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I agree with you with like the Mickey assessment. Mickey is like creepy throughout the whole first half of the movie, and it seems kind of erratic and seems like a character that you either are going to kill or has to be Ghostface. Like, there's only two options for him. He can't be anything other than kill Fonder or kill Numbers, or he's Ghostface.
The other thing is that the movie doesn't really do much to tell us about him, right? Like, they do absolutely pretty much nothing. Like, all we really know about this guy is that he likes sequels, or better, or more importantly, he likes movies. Like that, like that's really it. It's like he likes movies, and then in particular, he likes sequels. But like, we have no real information about him, like in comparison, right? Because Billy's mom has clear-cut motivations. When Stu doesn't have motivations really, but we learn about him, and so like we see him interact with people a lot. In this situation, we don't see him interact with we don't see Mickey really interact with anybody. But then on top of that, when he does give his reasonings, it's just like, so you just wanted to make a movie, like. Stu at least was like, I just wanted to murder people.
He was like, I want to do it for fun. I just want to do it for fun.
I'm in this for the love of the game. Like, I'm in it for the love of the game. And that guy, meanwhile, that guy's like, did you know I could get an Oscar for this? Like
you pretentious
at least
film
a
studio.
nomination.
Like yeah, because I didn't put in my notes all the scenes that have Deborah Salt in it. Mm-hmm. Like, you see her interact with Gale in the beginning, like I mentioned, and then you see her interact with her outside of the police station, where she brings it up to other reporters that she was like, you know, the killer has to be someone from Woodsboro. Like, if all the killings happen in Woodsboro and now it's over here, maybe it's you know, it's logical to think that it's the killer is also from Woodsboro. We also see her outside of the house where Cece got killed as well. So they sprinkled that in where you see her, despite like not the longest scenes, but you see her in particular spots. Even when Gale is interacting with Joel, she's like, you can see her walk through and snooping and eavesdropping on the conversation. So they put her throughout the film, whereas Mickey, he's in the couple of scenes that I mentioned pretty much every scene. He's at the sorority party, he's in the class, he's with them when they're watching the chief talk about the murder at the school, and then he's in the scene in the cafeteria, and that's it. That's all we see from him in this whole movie until the reveal at the end.
Yeah, it is an interesting choice, because it's like you do see how with two Ghostfaces, you do kind of, one needs to have more of the motivation and one needs to kind of be there, which they'll play sort of straight in Scream 6. But this is it is just kind of interesting, because it's like, did you not want to just write enough? Like, or was it runtime? Like, was that the issue? Like, you didn't have enough? Because like, I would have cut the singing scene. You know what I mean?
Like we don't need the singing scene. We don't need to do the long film class discussion either. Like, 2 scenes we could have knocked off here. We should mention the Stab movie is playing when Dewey and Randy, they sit down and they talk about the rules of the sequel. We see Luke Wilson is playing Billy Loomis, which he does the scene from the hallway with stupid. Tori Spelling is playing Sidney, which was actually teased by Sidney in part 1, which was an interesting touch. And David Schwimmer plays Dewey. I do like the dynamic of Dewey and Randy, because we didn't get to see them interact in part 1. They had a nice interaction when they go to have some milkshake together. There's always like the characters that are like having like just sometimes there'll be 2 people that's off by themselves talking, and we get that pretty well done in the first Scream. This one for these 2, it's cool, because like similar to what we were talking off camera before we recorded, I just finished Stranger Things season 2, and it's Steve and Dustin, right? Like, it's those 2 guys. These 2 are just having that moment off to the side, and it's like that little bit that helps them bond. Joel, the cameraman, is nervous after learning Kenny,
the only smart person in this movie.
Yes, and I have a great note about that. But let's talk about the scene that really sets that up, where Dewey, Gale, and Randy and Joel, they meet at the campus, where Randy gets a call from Ghostface. After Randy insults Billy, which is a cool note to this, Ghostface grabs him and slashes him to death in the news truck. Meanwhile, Sidney is in the library with detectives, and she gets a message from Ghostface. They leave Sidney alone for some reason, the worst detectives in the world. So Cotton can try to scare her and try to intimidate her into a Diane Sawyer interview, which gets him arrested. But the Randy murder, I thought, was one of the better scenes of the movie, because it did give like something away. And also Randy's whole conversation with Dewey, he once again gets it right, where he says, Mrs. Voorhees was such a great choice for the killer in the Jason movie, and that is where we would find out by the end that it's Billy's mom is the murderer.
That is, and one of the things that I loved about that scene was just the idea of everybody can get so distracted by what they're doing that they can forget like situational awareness. Like Dewey and Gale, they get pulled away, and Randy's just kind of left there on his own. And the last place, like sort of like if you would think of like tag or freeze tag or something like that, like where's home base, you would think that the news van would be home base. Like that would be the safe spot, and it's not. And that's, I think, was really well done. But yeah, it does suck. Like the other aspect of it is that somebody has to go to make us feel that anybody can die. And in this situation, it's Randy.
Yeah, I was like, that's my saddest part of the movie. I was like, why Randy? Why Randy, man? And I didn't feel like Sidney, they gave Sidney a proper like reaction to that, because she has to deal with everything that happened with her and Cotton and stuff like that in the library. And by the time we find out that she learned about Randy's murder, she has that reaction of trying to like go in to call his parents, and Dewey had already did that, but I didn't think they gave her like a proper realization that the only friend that survived with you from the first movie is now dead.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And that is also because we were talking earlier about the chemistry between Dewey, Sidney, and Gale. Part of the reason why Dewey and Sidney have that expanded chemistry or that built up chemistry and that big brother little sister element is that Rose McGowan was Dewey's sister and she's now
Yeah.
dead. So there is like that's why they have that, like, this is now your surrogate big brother, she is now your surrogate little sister. So for her not to be able to really get that moment because of what happened with Randy, it's like it does kind of suck, and it does kind of help. And I think honestly, like, while it does suck from the perspective of we would love for her to be able to have that, it does work very well as to why it's a continued amount of pressure in the back of her mind and in her heart, so that she is, one, more easily able to make mistakes down the road, and two, why everything now seems like it's building to something. It's building something. We keep getting that. We keep ramping up the tension.
Yeah. The person who actually like is most affected by the Randy murder to me, as far as like character motivation and how they change, is Gale. Gale feels like she's the one that's greatly affected by this because she's no longer in reporter mode anymore. She's greatly affected by Randy's murder and starts to want to take down the killer. And that like passion that she shows to take down the killer kind of softens Dewey's cold stance against her. Gale and Dewey, they go to check out Joel's Joel. Oh yeah, should mention Joel decides to dip after Randy's murder. He's like, no, you ruined my truck. It's over. And literally, I found out during my research, this was an idea from Dwayne Martin. Dwayne Martin pitched this to Wes Craven. He said, what if my character just left? And Wes Craven asks him, how would you leave? He was like, a taxi. I died laughing. This was an interview with Dwayne Martin where he said this. I died laughing. It was awesome.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it from his perspective, right? Like, from the character's perspective. He's like, all right, so all these people that are here that I'm now involved with, they all have prior experience with being targeted and being attacked by whoever this person is. Now, so far, this person's only really used a knife, but you never know. And none of them are thinking to get, like, I don't know, bulletproof vests, some kind of protective clothing, maybe a knife themselves, a gun. So they're all insane. Well, I'm not, so I will leave. It's like
deuces. I'm out of here. I'm gonna be the only brother who survived this movie.
He's like nobody's got the John Wick bulletproof, stab-proof clothing. I'm leaving. What are we doing here?
He also improv when Sidney backhands Gale earlier in the movie, and Haley says, "Did you get that on film?" He's like, "Yes, I did." That was improv. That was improv by both of them. That was improv by the Haley character, and then improv by Dwayne Martin to say that in response.
That's hilarious.
Gale and Dewey, they go to check. Joel leaves the rest of his footage with Gale, and she's like, okay, maybe like Ghostface is in one of the footage that they got. So they go to the classroom, they check it out. That's when they finally have the coming to Jesus moment with each other, and things get hot and heavy, and they start making out, getting on top of the table, until Ghostface drops in with some live footage of them that he's watching them. And he chases Dewey, tries to go after him, but then Ghostface pops up behind Gale. He gets the better of Dewey inside the classroom, so Gale goes running, and we get a chase scene, very suspenseful chase scene with Ghostface going after Gale. This leads to Dewey, who tries to get Gale's attention, but he's in like a soundproof room, and he gets stabbed in the back yet again. I was like, he already got a limp. What are we doing? Every movie? Why? He's spitting out blood. How does he survive this?
We talked about how dumb Jerry O'Connell was for running back into the building. I'm sorry, Dewey. I respect you. I love you. You're one of the best characters in this entire franchise. But sir, you have a limp and you can't use your right arm or your right hand. I respect the fact that you want to protect Gale and so on and so forth, but you protect her by staying with her, and the two of you getting the fuck out and then calling the cops. You don't protect her by running. Well, I mean, sort of running, because again, you have a limp. Like, what are you doing?
He's but Gale pushes like a cabinet against the door, and Ghostface disappears as they always do. So she escapes. She then runs into Cotton in the hallway, who has bloody hands, who says that he just found Dewey. So this makes Gale believe that Cotton is the killer. She goes outside. She tries to call the police, where she meets up with Deborah Salt outside and says that Cotton Weary is the killer. We then see Ghostface, who Sidney and Haley have basically, they're going to like a safe house outside of the campus, and they get we see Jerry O'Connell's character Derek. He meets up with her outside to say goodbye, and he gets basically bum rushed by his fraternity for giving away his letters to Sidney in the song segment. So they basically tie him up to some cross at the play set where Sidney is the star of the play. There's a whole scene where Sidney gets like PTSD with all the masked people around her. But yeah, they're there at the set. They tie him to there, and they're like drinking and partying or whatever. And then Ghostface attacks Sidney, Haley, and the cops in the cop car. He stabs the first detective. Then the second detective tries to get out, and he gets the better of him. Ghostface then has the second detective on the top of his hood, and he basically crashes it. Probably the most gruesome murder of the whole movie, with the poles and stuff going inside his head. It's the worst one. He crashes the car, and then Sidney has to escape the car from the front because, of course, the back doors are locked because they're basically like, if they're arrested, they can't break out, basically. And this was a stunt that was unplanned. So, or Sidney, Nev Campbell's character had to do this basically without any kind of preparation or anything. And she says because she's a dancer, she was able to be flexible to do that.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that is cool. I did not know that either. Wow. Yeah. I mean, that it's just like, hey, who is thinking that like she can just climb out? they're not like, should we do any prep? Should we do any prep or like try to plan this out? This is like the star of the movie who we're paying millions of dollars to, and like everything kind of runs. Like meanwhile, for example, while they were filming Brand New Day, Tom Holland gets a concussion doing a stunt, and the entire production has to shut down because they're like, we can't shoot anything around this guy because he is the linchpin of the entire movie. Meanwhile, for this, they were like,
Spider-Man.
They're like, she can climb out. She can climb out for that. It'll be fine.
It's fine. This leads to Ghostface, though. Basically, she tries to unmask Ghostface, but then she basically hits the honk on the horn on the car. So then she just decides to get out. She then talks Haley through getting out as well. They're about to escape, but Sidney's like, no, I need to know who it is. She should have just took off the mask even after the honk. Just take off the mask. Like, why are you had to go back? He's already escaped by then. I don't know how he goes around at that point. I don't know, like, this dude is super fast and he can disappear. He can tell, he's a telepath. I don't know. But yeah, he gets behind the thing. He gets behind Haley. He kills Haley in front of Sidney. Then he chases her to the playset where she finds Derek tied up from his frat. We should note that there's someone who's at the playset who basically turns on the music to lure Sidney into the play. And there is theories. I sent you the video.
We know your theories.
There's a theory that the footsteps is Stu Macher. That Stu Macher is in Scream 2. I will keep bringing up these Stu clues because it is a good question. Who is that? That's not Deborah Salt. Deborah Salt is with Mrs. Lewis is with Gale, and then Mickey is the one who's chasing after her. So who is it that turns on the music?
I don't have an answer.
See, Stu, I believe Stu. So at this point, when Sidney's trying to untie Derek, we get the first Ghostface reveal, and it's Mickey. And I wrote in my notes, we literally have not seen this dude for 45 minutes since that whole awful singing scene.
Yeah. So there's a lot here in the sense of. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm thinking about, because I was re-listening to the J. Cole album, and I'm thinking about like the Let Out song specifically, and I'm thinking of our past going to college together and like just random things that happened involving fraternities, and I'm thinking to myself, so these guys understood that there was a murder, multiple murders on campus or involving the student body. And they thought it would be really smart to kidnap somebody.
And tie them up and then
But
leave them.
But not just anybody. The boyfriend of the lady who is being primarily targeted by the killers.
Yeah. Genius college students. Gotta love
what are you guys doing? You know, probably was Mickey probably was like, you guys should totally just he gave away
he's the one that snitched that he gave away the letters. Mickey makes it sound like Derek is his partner, which makes Sidney untrustworthy of him again, and then shoots him right in the heart. And then victim blames Sidney for distrusting Eric, which is hilarious. Then I do love Mickey's explanation of his motive as well.
It's the meme. It's the meme of like the guy on the bicycle, and then he shoves the rod in the bicycle, and he flips. Or it's Eric Andre, like, boom. Why would they make me do that? Why would you make me do this?
You make me do that? It's so funny. It's so funny to me. So he explains that he wants to get caught and blame it on the movies, that the movies influenced him. I don't know why they do this scene. You know, he's like, oh, did you hear that? That's got to be the partner. And it's Gale who comes out first. I'm like we're supposed to believe that Gale is the one who's the murderer here, but then she's got Debbie Salt behind her, and immediately, despite apparently losing 95 pounds and undergoing plastic surgery, Sidney recognizes Billy's mom immediately. She's like, Mrs. Loomis.
She didn't recognize her any other point in this movie. No other point. Which she saw her like in the background of stuff, but she wasn't like. But now all of a sudden she's like, I recognize this lady.
Mrs. Loomis, it's you. So I did more research. So the original script always had Mrs. Loomis as the number one Ghostface, but the second Ghostface was not supposed to be Mickey. This was going to be the first ever Scream movie and the only Scream movie that had 4 Ghostface.
Really?
The original accomplices to Mrs. Loomis were, get this, Cotton.
Okay.
Roommate Haley, and yes, the boyfriend Derek. Which I'm okay with. Like, I think Cotton and Haley make sense, but Derek feels like you're basically going through the same waters as the original one. Apparently, the script got linked and rewrites were made, and that's when they came up with the change.
Do you know who's been reading that the leaked script a lot though? Triple H. Because that's overbooked as hell. Like, I don't understand why.
We need more Ghostface. That's what
we need 4 Ghostface. It's like, wait. Just think about this. Think about like the precedent it sets, right? Because the first one had 2. This one would have had 4. So that means, like, logically, when they were making Scream 3, they would have been like
6,
8. It doubles every time. They're like,
you can't just say 2. No,
it's gotta double.
8. Just double up every single time. It would have made Scream 6 so less impactful when you get 3. Yeah. When you get 3 Ghostface. So yeah. So Randy also knew this, like I mentioned earlier about the Mrs. Voorhees reference. Mickey shoots Gale by accident after Mrs. Loomis says, I don't really need you anymore, and shoots him. Even though I think that if she had kept Mickey around, she could have won. That was her first big mistake.
One of the and it's the same flaw from the first Scream, where when people are working together, and it sort of happens in Scream 4, but it really is intentional. The Ghostface that is trying to live and survive, don't kill the other person until everybody's dead.
Exactly.
Like Billy and Stu, like they just poor planning, whatever, like, which is weird considering they planned this out for well over a year in advance. And, you know, in the moment, they're just like, oh yeah, we won, which I get. Like, there's that level of, but like this lady's had all this time to figure this out too, like that she's going to do this. And it's like, make sure everyone's dead first, then kill this idiot. And the same thing, we see that happen in Scream 4 as well, where, but yeah, it's, how do you do, like, it's just, make sure everyone's dead first. It's the same concept. It's the same concept where they're like, any of the killers can come back from the dead. So you got to shoot them in the head. It's like, well, yes, because you got to make sure they're actually dead.
Exactly. So Mrs. Loomis brings up how everyone has blamed her for Billy being a killer, which is a great motive. This leads to a whole fight where basically Sidney uses the set to get the better of Mrs. Loomis until Mrs. Loomis has a knife to her throat. This leads to Cotton coming to eventually help, and he shoots Mrs. Loomis after Sidney agrees to do the Diane Sawyer interview.
That was hilarious.
I was like, he is only into his own cause. I love the consistency of the Cotton Weary character.
It's just like I am a gun for hire, and it's like I'm here for the highest bidder. It's like, are you like, he's gonna pay me $1 million, and then somebody goes, I'll pay you $1 million and $1 more. He's like, boom, dead. He's like.
Easy. Gale and Sidney want to make sure Mrs. Loomis is dead, but it's actually Mickey who does the jump scare after they remembered what Randy said, and they just unload. They shoot the hell out of him after Sidney grabbed the gun from Cotton, and they just unload on Mickey's ass. Sidney then shoots Mrs. Loomis in the head as well to make sure that none of these killers are coming back to life. And then the last little note of the movie, Gale chooses her heart over her work as she sees that Dewey survived, and Joel comes back to film her live at the crime scene, but she chooses to go with Dewey to the hospital instead of reporting. And Sidney gives the credit for saving the day to Cotton, so he finally gets his well-earned fame from all of this, and she redeems herself from blaming him for her mother's murder in the first film. So that is it. That is Scream 2. I went into more detail on this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this iteration. Maybe we'll go back to Scream 1, but let us know in the comments which version of our reviewing and recapping the movie you like best. But overall thoughts on it before we give our ratings for this movie.
Yeah, it's weird because like there's parts of this that I feel really could have gotten cut or reworked or just designed better. Like I think if you wanted to get the boyfriend to be kidnapped, there were ways, or just in that final scene, there were ways to do it that didn't involve other characters just being really dumb, and just like aspects of what was going on in the student body at the time. Like yes, there are kids who in the first Scream were just super happy that classes were being canceled, and they end up throwing a party because they're idiots. But like that also is one of those things where it's like, yeah, this is different. It is a bit different because these are people that have kind of grown up together and know everybody from the same town that they live in. Woodsboro is a small town. You can sort of trust people, sort of not trust people, but there is that level of familiarity. You don't know anybody on this college campus. Like you don't know any of these people. Like there's thousands of these kids as well. So it's like, how would you just randomly be like, yeah, we're gonna kidnap this? And because they're so well connected to what the actual, in the case of that house party, none of them knew any kind of connection to anybody or anything like that. At best, they were like, Stu is Casey's ex-boyfriend. In this situation, they're like, we're gonna specifically kidnap the guy who, in order to make one of the victims feel better, gave her his letter. Like, what are we doing here?
It's just so weird decisions in this one. But best characters for Scream 2, I went with the core three, the core trio of Dewey, Gale, and Sidney.
Yeah, I can see that. I think they get I mean, obviously they're going to get the most development. They're going to be presented the best. So yeah, I'll agree with that. Yeah.
MVP for the movie, I didn't give it to any of those three because I gave them best character. MVP, I gave it to Cotton Weary. He saved the day, man. He saved the day, and he was very intentional. He was creepy throughout, so he gave us kind of teases that he could have been Ghostface, and that in the end, he just did it for his own self-satisfaction.
I want to, like, a part of me is I kind of want to give it to Randy though. Because like he does get killed, which I get, but like it's just like he is presented so well, and I feel kind of bad for him because I'm like, it's like, what would you do differently in the sequel? the nerd gets the girl, and then he walks out, and I'm like, so he's not getting the girl. Like, okay, we've covered that. I'm like, but we've established that. He believes he will. He's like, if I stay in this game long enough, I will win. And I'm like, I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
Yes. And LVP, I gave it to Derek for the singing scene.
Oh, yeah. No, Derek, absolutely for the singing scene. Actually, also, LVP is the crowd in the theater who were like, Jada Pinkett Smith dying. It's just like, all right, whatever. You know what it was? They were
Why
like,
is she in front of our screen?
They were just like, man, this movie is really interactive. Did we pay more for these tickets than we needed to? Like what is going?
We get a live action murder.
Like,
this is awesome.
Dinner and a show. Like what?
All right. So for Scream 2, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up across the board. Out of 10, what did you give Scream 2?
So I think we gave the first one a 9. I think this one I would probably drop to like an 8, maybe 7.5, like at worst, but like 8 feels about right because like it does hit a lot of the same cues as the first one, a lot of the same high points, but like the low points are just that much lower. And Scream 1 versus Scream 2, Scream 1 is so much more tightly plotted, it feels like, whereas this just is like they really were sort of doing, it feels as though they were doing a bit of rewrites while they were going along. And maybe they were in the first one, but it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, I will say, we do have like some low points in this one, but I would give it, I had that also, I had in my notes 7.5 or 8 out of 10. I'm going to lean towards 8 out of 10 because I do know it can get worse. And we're going to talk about that on our next review. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It can drop down quite a bit from Scream 1. So I will give this is dropped down 1 point, give it an 8 out of 10. It's a good sequel. To the original. But that is the end of our Scream 2 review. Want to thank you, StatKing, for joining me once again for another edition of this series where we're recapping retro reviews for the Scream series. Let the people know where they can follow you on social media and when they'll see you again.
So you guys can catch me here always on the True Hill Heat Sports Entertainment channel. We do a whole bunch of different different reviews and different appearances, both for football, both for movies and TV shows. A lot of football stuff, especially during the offseason. True offseason is picking up. We will be covering the NFL Combine, and when that happens in about a week or so, everybody who pops off the radar there. So then the NFL New Year free agency is going to kick off, and then we'll be heading into the draft. I'm not 100% sure when. I mean, I think we're doing I do know when this one is happening, but myself and Chase, we're going to be clocking in. We're going to be covering all of the episodes of The Pit, but we will be starting with a season 1 recap, and then we will be going episode by episode for season 2, one of the best shows in HBO's Max's history, I would say, and that is pretty high level considering the shows that HBO and Max have put out in the past. But it really is a version of 24 in the hospital. And for somebody like me, my wife is an ER nurse, my mother-in-law is an ER nurse, so like there's just that cool aspect of it as well, to be able to watch it with them and see like what they're able to say about it.
Indeed, for sure. And of course, you can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. Check out our previous review for Scream 1996, which is up right now as we start our Scream review series here. Check out True Hill Heat Check, where me and Chris G usually talk about NBA basketball. I did an all-star preview and talking about all-star Saturday night. That is up on the channel right now. And me and StatKing will be back with you later this week as we are also reviewing music now, as we got true headphone heat, as we going to review one of the biggest albums of the year in hip-hop, J. Cole, The Fall Off. So check that out as well. Me and StatKing will be back to review Scream 3 very soon. So for StatKing, it is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been our Scream 2 retro review. We are signing off until next time.